He was mentored by Phil Taylor, crowned world champion, twice, but behind the trophies was a ticking time bomb, walk-offs.
Just turn around, and now Lewis is walking off. Well, I think he's just walking off here just to cool down.
Shoves.
Not letting it go, and they're having to separate these two. Adrian Lewis has somehow won that match, but he's marred by some pretty ugly scenes that we do not want to see.
Accusations of cheating, Twitter feuds. How does a player destined for greatness become the villain of the very stage that crowned him? It started like many great stories do, with promise. From the moment Jackpot, Adrian Lewis stepped on the stage, it was clear that darts had a new star. Yet beneath the glitter and the glory was a dark side that threatened to swallow him whole. Way before the world knew him as a two-time PDC world champion, Adrian Lewis was just an 18-year-old kid with a dream, one that would eventually land him on some of the biggest stages in the world. Like a lot of players, he had been hooked on the game from an early age. Born on January 21st, 1985 in Stoke-on-Trent, the phenomenal Lewis cut his teeth playing soft-tip darts while juggling odd jobs in local pubs. His first taste of success came at the 2003 British Teenage Open, where he showcased a natural scoring touch, so unique it was like nothing the crowd had ever seen. Then came the spotlight. Just months later, he made his TV debut at the 2004 UK Open. Young, fearless and raw, he went toe-to-toe with Dennis Harbour, narrowly losing to the then stalwart player. But the message was clear, a new prodigy had arrived, and he wasn't only here to make up the numbers, he was here to shake things up. Just when everyone thought they had seen the best of Lewis, something crazy happened that ultimately changed the trajectory of the player's life. This turning point for Lewis came when he crossed paths with the legend, Phil "The Power" Taylor. We're talking about a global darts icon with an insane 16 world titles. What's more, it wasn't just a mere contact. Taylor took the young talent under his wing and went as far as practicing with him for hours at Taylor's Stoke club. This is the kind of mentorship that can turn a complete beginner into a professional player. So imagine what it did for Adrian, who already had raw talent and serious potential. Just as you would expect, under Taylor's mentorship, Lewis refined his game so much that the difference was way too evident. But his game wasn't the only thing that was refined. His mindset transformed tremendously. By 2007, their scores were neck and neck. This particular student was no longer a pupil. He had advanced to a rival who could, and did, beat his tutor on one of the biggest stages.
Taylor wants a three-darter! It had to go, Sydney, it had to go. Right! For a sweet victory! Taylor's biggest ever defeat! Adrian Lewis, the world champion!
As time went on, Adrian Lewis rewrote the record books. He captured back-to-back PDC World Championship titles in 2011 and 2012 at Alexandra Palace. With this, Adrian became the youngest player to achieve consecutive world titles and landed his first ever 9-dart finish in a World Championship final, earning both legend status and a £10,000 bonus. Along the way, he defeated many big names in darts. He had opponents like Scotland's Gary Anderson, winning in a gripping 7-5 final.
For the world title, the 25-year-old Stokey, half an inch right. Half an inch right, and Adrian Lewis's dream has come true.
He also played against James Wade in tense semi-finals, and Portugal's top contender to cement his place among darts royalty. The great part? Lewis didn't stop there. His tally of major wins grew to include the European Championship in 2013 and the UK Open in 2014. He starred in 4 World Cup of Darts victories alongside Phil Taylor and amassed over 26 PDC titles, including Players' Championships and European Tour events by his mid-20s. Lewis's style was unmistakable, rapid-fire scoring, eyes locked on the treble 20 and fist pumps that sent shockwaves through arenas. Adrian Lewis became such a big name that when Reach Up by Perfecto All-Stars announced his entrance, fans cheered non-stop. But fame brings friction, and for Lewis, the turning point came early, so let's backtrack to the moment that shook everything the player had worked so hard for. That moment when darts had its first glimpse of Lewis's temper. In the quarter-final of his 2006 World Championship campaign, facing Peter Manley, Lewis's composure broke. During the match, he abruptly marched off stage, returning to accuse Manley of distracting him during throws. The crowd booed and jeered. It was an early warning that Lewis could be temperamental.
Was happy. Adrian Lewis having a word with Russ Bray. Peter Manley refusing to make eye contact. The referee, Russ Bray,
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
is having his work cut out on the stage.
Best of order, please.
Words certainly being exchanged. He's the master of the mind games, Peter Manley. A word said there. Lewis has turned round, and now Lewis is walking off. Well, I think he's just walking off here just to cool down. Now this is very, very interesting.
2 years later, at the Open Holland Masters, his anger boiled over. Locked in a tense 5-all tie with Kevin Painter, Lewis exploded, brandishing threats and defying officials. He ultimately shoved Painter during the deciding leg. The Darts Regulation Authority slapped him with a 6-month ban, 4 suspended, and a £400 fine. This was his first major sanction for on-stage violence, and just like you would expect, these incidents shook the star player. Something to note about Adrian Lewis. Despite these incidents, he returned each time with fresh glory, except that this time, something was different about the way people viewed him. Celebrations once seen as confidence now looked like arrogance. The attitude, once entertaining, fell off. The cheers dulled, the boos grew. It was at this point that Lewis couldn't hide his emotions anymore. He was visibly angry and scowling. Sometimes our greatest wins come from our down moments. This held true for Lewis, who delivered an 8-3 defeat over the then local hero, Gary Anderson. If it had ended there, the story would have taken a different turn, but it didn't. Over the next decade, Adrian Lewis became no stranger to controversy. He danced inside Anderson's exclusion zone at the World Grand Prix, drawing a stern warning. Not long after, a supposed equipment fault triggered a 25-minute pause during one of his games. The crowd wasn't having it. Boos echoed through the venue, with many accusing Lewis of playing mind games to disrupt the match's momentum. That same year, in the Premier League clash at Glasgow, angry supporters pelted him with coins and showered him in beer mid-game.
In the SECC, 6,500 Scots. And Lewis, well, was on the ropes here, to use the boxing analogy.
There is...
Well, Gary Anderson has pocketed a coin that appeared on the stage. That'll buy him half a lager later. I think Anderson's embarrassed by it all.
That's exactly the point.
That was just the beginning. Then came the moment everyone would remember, the most explosive flashpoint yet. This time, things really blew up. At a UK Open qualifying event, Lewis, the 2-time world champ, played Jose Justicia in a tense quarter-final. During the match, Justicia's slow retrieval of darts and reportedly his laughter at a squeaking floorboard angered Lewis. Lewis confronted Justicia during play, then shoved him by the neck. Officials immediately intervened and escorted Justicia away.
7-7.
Game shot.
And there it is. Adrian Lewis has somehow found a way to win it, and he is still not letting it go, and they're having to separate these two. Adrian Lewis has somehow won that match, but is marred by some pretty ugly scenes that we do not want to see. Adrian Lewis through to the semi-finals. A superb run from Jose Perales is brought to an end.
The PDC immediately suspended Lewis pending review. In an official statement, the Darts Regulation Authority suspended Adrian Lewis with immediate effect pending a full investigation. The final verdict was a 3-month suspended ban and a $3,000 fine for this behaviour. This was his heaviest punishment yet. From that point, boos became routine. What was once a roar of approval had curdled into a chorus of contempt. Fans who once screamed, "A Luis," now jeered. Adrian's walk-ons that once electrified arenas now opened under a rain of whistles. Just when we thought we had seen it all, another incident happened. This time, it shook the darts world. Lewis had a tense loss to Peter Snakebite Wright. After Wright lingered on the double, Lewis stormed off without a handshake, publicly labelling Wright a cheat. Lewis took to Twitter, not to congratulate his opponent, but to call him out. "Wright took me out of my rhythm," he posted, before going even further. "He's nothing but a cheat." But the Oki wasn't the only place that got messy. Peter Wright's wife, Jo, wasn't having it. She publicly defended her husband in replies, and the two exchanged heated messages online. Fans and commentators on darts forums criticised Lewis's tweets as over the top, though some noted he felt provoked. Because this was purely a social media spat, no formal PDC or Darts Regulation Authority discipline was reported against Lewis. For Lewis, each controversy was a twisted badge of honor as a proof of his intensity. Yet the darts-related drama was just the warm-up. Off-stage, Lewis faced battles that cut deeper. His personal life definitely wasn't spared from the spotlight. Hot off his second world title, Lewis and his longtime partner announced their breakup on Facebook. The headlines swarmed with custody battles and paparazzi. Lewis later admitted it felt horrible, that he was hounded by the press as his personal life became public information. Later that year, he got engaged to Sarah Podmore, and this sparked another news storm. Reports claimed that she was still legally married to another man, although this was never confirmed by court documents. Though Sarah's divorce simply hadn't been finalized, the rumor painted Lewis badly in headlines that refused to die. Some years later, Sarah was diagnosed with a serious kidney condition. Lewis, ever the stoic competitor, shielded details from the glare, but family strains added complexity to his public persona. No arrests, no criminal charges, just personal pain playing out in public view. At this point, weariness had seeped into his form. An interview revealed Lewis feeling like his drive had evaporated, that darts didn't excite him as it once did. He spoke of losing his grind and feeling trapped by his own mindset.
And I seem like I fall out of love with it, I think, you know, because you think, well, I've done that well to get there in the first place, playing all the Pro Tours and the Europeans and everything else. And then before you know it, you've got court COVID, you've been kicked out, you've got no ranking money, you've lost ranking money, and before you know it, you've gone from like number 14 in the world to number 38 or something. And I kind of fell in love with it, yeah. I hated it, to be honest.
Fans wondered, was the fire gone or just smouldering beneath the ashes? Then the big news came. In April 2023, Lewis announced an indefinite break, citing stress, family health battles, and a waning passion for the sport. His PDC tour card lapsed at year's end, leaving his future in limbo. But in early 2025, Lewis hinted at a comeback, one more run maybe. Because for Adrian Lewis, the story isn't simple. He was brilliant, he was explosive, he made history and headlines. He dazzled the world with world-class play and earned his place among darts royalty. But his refusal to control his temper many times, his willingness to cross lines on social media, on and off the oche, carved a darker path through his legacy. From the mentorship of Phil Taylor to the roar of the Ali Pali crowds, from the gleam of his 2011 and 2012 titles to the bruising fines and bans, Lewis's journey is a study of how a crowd-pleasing hero turned villain. The cheers that once crowned him have largely faded, but the echoes of his controversies remain louder than ever. In the end, the darts board is a mirror to the soul. For Adrian Lewis, it reflected the brilliance of a champion. Whether he can ever reclaim the adulation he once commanded, or whether the boos will forever greet his performance, remains unknown. But Adrian Lewis isn't the only dart star to fall from grace. Because in this game, talent gets you to the top, but personality decides if you stay there, and no one proves this more than the player who turned victory into controversy. Click here to uncover the darts pro who was loved for winning, but hated for everything else.